Hello, today my presentation topic is about the self-reflexivity. This is the table of contents. First, I will introduce the reflexivity and self-reflexivity, and then 4 types of self-reflexive discourse in film, and use some few examples to explain it. Last, make a conclusion. So this is the main part. Reflexivity is found in many contexts. In philosophy, for example, it is in Descartes' famous I think, therefore I am. So, I help myself is a reflexive pronoun. Here, I and myself, in this example, means a person who is both the instigator and the recipient of her actions, a subject and an object. For Morris, the reflexivity refers to the process of an entity acting back upon itself. Mead and Colley showed clearly that reflexivity among human beings is rooted in the social process, particularly the process of taking the role of the other and of seeing the self from the other's perspective. As a result of this process, the organism develops an awareness of self. The individual comes to be both the knower and the object of knowledge. In cinema, reflexivity is a mode, and usually a reflexive film employs cinematic devices that make its audience aware of the fact that they are watching a film. For purposes of intercultural communication, self-reflexivity can be understood as having an ongoing conversation with one's whole self about what one is experiencing as one is experiencing it. Stephen Prince divides self-reflexivity into 2 components. One is commit self-reflexivity, and another is deductive self-reflexivity. As I mentioned before, self-reflexive film could remind viewers that what they are watching is a movie, and it tells the viewers that the reality on screen is a movie reality. Similarly, in Stephen's view, the self-reflexive style deliberately attempts to tear down the illusion of the cinema. In doing so, it reinforces the awareness that film is socially and culturally constructed, and that at its core, film is art, not reality. For him, the motivations of using self-reflexive techniques is for comedy or addressing social or cultural issues. Gloria Wisdom studies self-reflexive discourse in film from 4 different angles, which are production, here, distribution, and consumption, also called reception, and the product itself. Next, I will introduce them separately with some few examples. First is production. To show a camera as part of the studio production of the film has definitely a self-reflexive quality. The most popular genres of self-reflexive films could be film in film or Hollywood on Hollywood. Therefore, the production here refers to the actual process of shooting the camera, and the people appearing on screen have to evoke the impression of being crew members, such as the cameraman or sound engineers. The first example I want to show you is a famous Chinese comedy called Big Shot's Funerals. This is the typical film-in-film genre, and its self-reflexivity almost covers everywhere. The whole film presents an interesting filmmaking process, which including how actors in film show their acting skills, how producers try to add edgewords into film, etc. It tells audiences how a film is being produced. Moreover, the crew members appear several times in this film, which is a self-reflexivity. The director that the character portrayed tells his experience to be a director, is also an example of self-reflexivity. Another example is paranormal activity. Because found footage, documentary style, is another technique to express self-reflexivity. Since this is a horror film, I'm not going to show you the link. Just simply explain to you that paranormal activity presents a ghost story by using digital camera, and audiences could notice there's recording signal and time in the corner of the camera. Therefore, this film tells us a story. At the same time, insist on being a film that tells us the story we're just watching. Second is distribution. On the one hand, there is television, both understood as the media institution and the entire program of a channel. On the other hand, there are the various items the program consists of, different movies, news, commercials, etc. Usually the two of them have nothing in common, except that the latter are available at a fixed time on a particular channel. But in some cases, the characters in movies or TV series comment on their being characters in TV programs. They seem to be conscious of their status. Blazing Saddles, for example, a short scene features an old woman being held back and punched by a group of bandits. Not only is this an inversion of conventional character activity relations, it also becomes self-reflexively misdirection when the woman turns towards the camera and exclaims, "Have you ever seen such cruelty?" So here's the link, we can have a look, is the example.
Ow! Oh! Ow! Have you ever seen such cruelty? Oh! Oh! Ow! Oh!
Another scene in Blazing Saddles features Hadley Lamar talking to himself in his office as he ponders how to locate a sheriff who would offend the citizens of Rockridge. The camera takes on an invisible status, and such talking to oneself is viewed as normal. Lamar continues and stating, "How would I find such a man? Why am I asking you?" as he acknowledges the presence of the imposing camera and by extension the audience. The third angle is consumption, also is reception. It is about the audiences. Withem argues that when we watch a film, we forget about our own everyday life or world and carefully follow the events in the dramatic world of the characters. Like this film, The Truman Show, both audiences that portrayed in film and the real spectators like us feel like we are participate in Truman's life. We have already forget our everyday life. That can be a self-reflexive example as well. Either Witham also suggests that films which show the characters going to the cinema and watching a film are the major examples of self-reflexivity with regard to the consumption aspect. One typical example could be Mr. Bean's Holiday. One scene features Sabine realizes that her role has been cut in the film that shown in the premiere. She feels so disappointed. Hoping to cheer up Sabine, Mr. Bean goes to the production room and plugs his video camera into the projector. Thus, the screen began to show his wonderful travel with Sabine and Stephen. At last, the audience gave a standing ovation for what they believed to be part of the movie in that film. In this scene, Mr. Bean goes to the premiere and sees himself in the screen. could be a kind of self-reflexivity, as we have mentioned before. And last is the product film. Usually, narrative film try to make us forget that they are a product. Nevertheless, there are certain films who, at the beginning, or at the end, or even throughout the whole movie, make us aware of there being a movie. A good example can be Borat, Cultural Learnings of American for Make Benefits Glorious Nation of Kazakhstan. This film is a funny documentary which talks about a Kazakh TV reporter, Borat Sagdiyev, who is dispatched to the United States to report on the greatest country in the world and learn a lesson from there. The whole film is like a TV program, which introducing many interesting American costumes. Its narrative makes audience forget it is a film. Just at the end, Borat and his villagers look at the camera and saying, "Thank you for watching my film. I hope you like." Which makes us realize that it is a film, not a program. So at last, in conclusion, cinematic self-reflexivity tend to pull viewers out of the reality represented on screen by reminding them that it is a cinematic construction or illusion on the screen. However, as audiences, not only do we have to possess a prior knowledge of the codes to appreciate reflexivity, but we also have to be prepared to interpret them. Like Roland Barthes have argued that the meaning of all artworks can be said to be dormant until activated in the process of interpretation by the spectator. Poland's idea about self-reflexivity is that self-reflexive film is to re-invoke issues of central importance in the history of film theory. So that's my understanding of this topic. Thank you for watching and hope you enjoy it. Thank you.